Welcome back to the High Ticket AI Systems podcast. Everyone, please welcome the one and only Mrs. Lindsay Bolton. Lindsay, how you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
Fantastic. We're happy to have you on. Now, for those of us that don't know the name or the brand just yet, please explain to us basically what you sell and who you guys sell to.
Absolutely. So my husband and I own a insurance automation company called Agency Zoomify. Agency Zoom comes as a blank platform. It's a CRM where everything inside of it has to be built from the ground up. And so what we do is we come in and we build out everything in the background of the system, including every single piece of automation with all of the pipelines needed to be successful as an insurance agent. So our market is to insurance agency owners.
How did you manage to get into this space and why systems and processes for agency owners or insurance
Yeah,
agents?
absolutely. So my husband and I owned an insurance agency prior to owning Agency Zoomify. We were insurance agency owners for roughly 5 years, a little over 5 years. And in that period, we were able to grow our business from $0 in premium to over 15 million as a scratch retail agency. And a lot of that was due to the systems and processes that we put in place in our agency, right? And so I'd have people come to me throughout the years and say, "Hey, Lindsay, how are you doing what you're doing?" And I would point to the system that we built and I'd help them to build it on the side. That kind of turned into a full fledged business as we sold the agency in March of last year.
Wow, so you sold it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Congrats. That's super cool. Yeah, one of my goals is to sell my agency one day. How was that experience? Was it like a like you won the championship almost, you know? Is that how it felt?
Yeah, we were able to sell to another agent in our area, and it was more so like a relief in a way for us. We wanted to have more time to spend with our daughter, whom we took a long time to try and conceive and have. And so we were just grateful to do something where now we work from home and we get to work not only work from home but make our schedule. And people say that you get to do that as an insurance agent, but if you're trying to be a successful insurance agent, there isn't much downtime.
Yeah, that is extremely factual. Let's talk about the systems and processes that you actually cultivated and developed when you weren't insurance agents and now that you teach other insurance agencies. What are some of those systems and processes, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so a lot of agents, especially what we found since starting Agency Zoomify, are flying by the seat of their pants. Like they are just calling their leads as they come in, but they don't know how many times to call them, what date, time of day to call them, what to say whenever they're doing their follow up process, so on and so forth. So what we do is we come in and build the system the same way that we use the same system we use in our own agency. So, for instance, many agents are buying leads and they don't have a process when they come in. How many times do you call them? So we have a new purchase leads pipeline where those leads funnel into, and it actually schedules out those calls as well as the automated text and emails to get that prospect on the phone to have a qualified conversation. And then on the back end, many people are wasting a lot of money not recycling their data. And so they're spending money on leads in the front end and they just keep buying, 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 buying. But after they, called this person 10 times, they're like, all right, it's dead. It's a dead lead. Well, no, it's not. I like to use the story. My husband and I, when we first started, we were so broke. We were calling out of a phone book, sitting at our kitchen table, and we're calling from our cell phone, right? We didn't even have a dialing system or anything like that. And neither one of us were able to get up to go to the bathroom, to eat, to do anything until we made 300 phone calls. And whenever we would making these calls, we put these people, their quote sheets on paper and write down their information. And then whenever we started using Agency Zoom, like 2 years down the road, I took those quote sheets and put them into the system as leads. And our team was now closing people that I cold called from a phone book years later. And so that's kind of like where this system, this process came into play, where we can help agents to stop buying leads in the future if we have a pipeline set up to recycle that data. In addition to that, we also created our website leads pipeline. So as their website leads, we can connect those into Agency Zoom to flow directly into a pipeline where they're immediately getting called. And then we also found that on our referral side, I was getting referrals to my cell phone or to my email, and I would quote them. Maybe we'd be too high. and I never reached out to them again. Well, with Agency Zoom, we can actually connect. We can give each person in the agency their own personalized referral website. And on that website, the person that's referring the business puts in their information and then who they're referring down below. And when they click submit, it goes directly into the referral pipeline that we've built where that person immediately gets a text message saying, "Hey, Brandon, it's Lindsay with the Bolton agency. John Doe referred you over to me to reach out and give you, your home and auto insurance quotes. When's a better time to reach out to you?" And it has the scheduled calls along with that. It has a 15-day follow-up process. And if they're no longer answering, it recycles back through and 6 months to try again. So we're essentially able to create a funnel where they can stop buying leads in the future.
You are saving so many agency owners a ton of capital by doing that. I come from a hardcore sales background, obviously, kind of like you. I started out in insurance and then I swapped over to solar sales because like you earn more per sale, basically. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and do that. But I didn't knock on doors how it's traditionally sold. I cold called. And it teaches you a lot. I personally love cold calling. I love the hardcore sales background. It's kind of fun, especially whenever you find success in that industry or that thing, whatever it is you're doing. But zooming out for a second, no pun intended. If you look at businesses, they are just well oiled machines. And like it kind of sounds like how you're describing, like you have a machine put together. You essentially just install the machine into other insurance agencies'
Yeah.
business. They can plug and play and be successful, which I absolutely love. How long do you feel like it took you whenever you were starting up the agency with your husband to like finally dial in this system and process? Like how long do you feel like?
So one thing that you just said that was really interesting is having like a heavy sales background. I actually didn't. Before agency ownership, I was an elementary school teacher.
No.
Uh, yeah, I went into the insurance industry knowing absolutely nothing about it. I graduated college, I taught for a year and a half, and my husband came home from work one day and accidentally recruited me because he was a recruiter for the carrier that we ended up working with. And he was showing me the numbers and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you mean if we do this, we can make this?" And he was like, "Well, the agents can." And I was like, "No, no, no, no. If I leave teaching, even though I just spent 4 years getting a degree, and we go and do this. This is the opportunity at hand." And he was like, "Well, I guess I'm not really trying to recruit my wife, but sure." And I learned everything that I could from podcast videos, YouTube videos, really trying to just absorb from those around me. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that we had to find something to streamline and create these processes. And at first, I said we were calling out of a phone book. And then I was like, "Okay, we need somewhere to put these people." And like, at first we had those quote sheets and we'd flip them over and on the back it would have like call number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it would say whether I texted it or emailed them and I had to circle it that day. It evolved from that process into a system called DYL. And DYL is essentially a phone company, but then I created inside of their folders in the inside of DYL a process in there to move people from day to day on the follow-up process. And then DYL wasn't growing at the rate that we were as far as functionality went. And so we ended up converting over to Agency Zoom. Now, with Agency Zoom, I have thousands and thousands of hours logged in Agency Zoom, and I still feel like there's so much room for growth. Like I feel you can ask my husband, like, I have a process for everything, not even things that are related to the business world, but even just in our household. That's just the way my brain works as operations and processes. And nothing is ever good enough. The sky's the limit, and I just keep wanting to do more and more and make it better and better.
Isn't it so tiring though? Because I'm the same way. Like nothing is ever perfect. I'm always trying to improve, but I also feel like, man, like it's never ending. I'm never
Yeah.
satisfied with whatever it is that I have.
It's
Anyways,
exhausting. It really is. It's also a blessing too, because it's one of those things where, I'm grateful for the drive that I have because I know that it's not normal. I get told that I'm not normal all the time.
we're crazy.
But yeah, but I think of it as like a superpower in a way.
I love that. Great mindset. Great mindset. What dialing system do you actually use? And what do you recommend when it comes to, okay, call leads this time of day, call leads this day, call them X number of times? What are some philosophies you have there?
Yeah, so for our own business, we don't use a dialing system. But for insurance agency owners, what we recommend is a company called Ricochet. And
Ricochet.
with Ricochet, it will actually score the leads and tell you which ones to call first as far as like priority level. And so they have what's called a Shark Tank. And the method that we use is to have them dialing out of Ricochet. and leads are assigned to one fake person named Jordan Smith, for instance. So they use this fake AI person as they have their cold callers calling out to the leads. When they have a qualified conversation, they then take that person agency Zoom and move it over in the follow up pipeline and reassign it to the sales rep that they're giving it off to. So they have the qualified conversation and then move it throughout the follow up pipeline accordingly. But that dialing system does help them to make more calls and prioritize whom is most important to call today. When it comes to timing using Ricochet, there really isn't other than the scoring feature on who to call first. That's kind of how you would handle your newer leads. Now, if you're not using Ricochet and you're solely using Agency Zoom, we do schedule out the calls at specific times of day. Normally it's like 9, 1, and 4 p.m. And they're calling on the first day for that lead. We can also do it for like text messages. We have all of our texts going out at 9 a.m. and our emails go out at 11 a.m. on specific days of the cycle.
Gotcha. So just to clarify, is a real human calling on Ricochet, or is the AI calling to generate a qualified prospect?
It's a real human. We have some agents that have their sales reps calling out using Ricochet, and they are the ones that hold on to it from the beginning to the end. And then we have some agents that hire VAs to do these calls, and you can get a VA direct for as low as like $5 an hour. And
Love
then
you.
you have VAs.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, having the VAs to dial out's one thing, and then also some people just have specific positions in their business for cold callers.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think you said you call a brand new lead 3 times a day on the first day. I
Yes.
completely agree with that. Why would I go down the entire list and call every lead once in the morning and then once in the evening, right? Why would I not prioritize the freshest, hottest leads that just came in? I'm gonna call that person 3 times a day for the first 3 days, unless they block me, of course. But that like they just came in. You are on the top of their mind. You should definitely reach out to that lead over someone who opted in 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago.
Yeah, absolutely. The interest level goes down the longer the lead sits in there. So having a heavy hitting from the very beginning is really important for that connectivity rate.
Absolutely. What insurance are you actually selling? I never even asked this.
Yeah, no, everything. So personal, primarily PNC. So personal lines, home, auto, boats, RVs, the whole shebang. And we
Gotcha.
also have a commercial add-on. So our commercial add-on, the way that we structure that product to put into agency Zoom for our clients is we ask them to choose 5 different target markets. What we learned through our career as insurance agents is that it's really important for you to choose 5 different target markets within whichever carrier that you are wanting to push out, right? So
Mhm.
for instance, let's say trucking is one of them. Trucking, hair salons, CPAs, boutiques, florists, right? So we would build out the automation for those 5 different target markets. Many of them, I'd say the majority of them we already have built out and ready to go. But by doing so, you learn where to quote them with what carrier. You become known for that one particular target market. So the people that you're writing are also referring you out to their buddies that do the similar thing. You know what coverages are important to them, so on and so forth. You become kind of a be all for that market. Makes it easier on your team too. So we ask you to choose 5 target markets. We also build out your commercial follow up pipeline to get those people through. We build out an all industries pipeline for your one off opportunities that come in naturally. And then we have your commercial retain for retention and onboarding. So it walks through that process with other tasks, automation, text automation, calls, so on and so forth,
Yeah.
to get that where you need to be.
It sounds like you're niching down in a way.
Yeah, we're primarily on the personal lines side I shouldn't say just personal lines, PNC side right now. We are working on our Medicare and life side for 2027. So we'll be launching that in 2027 to expand into that realm.
In my mistake. I mean, definitely you've niched down for your own business, but the philosophy that you teach other insurance agents going
Okay.
after 5 target markets, I actually think that's a pretty good idea. I haven't heard of that before.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
learned
yeah.
it from my, business coach when I was an agent, means we were starting to get really heavy into the commercial realm. It can be time consuming if you're just taking in whatever lands in your lap, you're spending so much time just trying to figure out where to quote it, how to sell it, what's important to them, what coverages do they need to be fully protected, so on and so forth. But if you really study and learn the markets that you're going to target, then it becomes just as easy as doing a home quote or an auto quote.
Yes, and we call this the optimal selling system, right? It's basically like the same person with a different face coming through your funnel. They have the same problems. You solve those problems to the same solution. Like you fulfill that service the exact same way. It allows you to really scale the company whenever you have a repeatable process, you know?
We used to have a problem where I was taking in whatever would land in my lap, and then it was like, okay, I tried to do this quote, and oh, I forgot I need to ask them for this, or oh, I need to go get this document from them. Oh, now the company wants this from them. And it just feels like to the client that you're unprepared or that you don't know what you're doing. And so if you already know the carrier and the market, then you already know what's expected and you can ask for it up front. And it just makes the process a lot more streamlined and professional for the client.
Let's kind of flip it. When take that same philosophy and talk about your own client acquisition system. Do you find that to be true with speaking with other potential clients, other insurance agencies?
So when you say that, you mean,
Like helping them with your automation company, basically?
yeah, so we do use Agency Zoom for our own business. We have several different marketing pipelines, whether it's an event that we attended to help getting people booked and so on and so forth. When it comes down to targeting, right now, about 75% of our clients are farmers agents and then 25% are independent. And so we're trying to gain more traction in the independent space. And with that, we're trying to use our system in a way where we can find what's important to the independent agents as a market so that we can alter and make changes to adapt to them in particular. So does that kind of answer your question a little?
Yeah, it does. Why diversify? Why not just stick with farmers agents
Well,
and like
there's only so many farmers agents, right? And it's just a whole different market of people that are lacking structure. With on the independent side, I feel like people are jumping through carrier to carrier to carrier to carrier, and they most of them are lacking one CRM where they're managing their entire book of business. They're just jumping through all these different carriers and having to try to remember who is where and what's happened and so on and so forth. The agency Zoom, it pulls it all together because we can link to their AMS system. So whether they're with Hawksoft, AMS 360, Z Links, whatever it is, it's going to pull that data in and then they have one centralized place to use it. So I feel like while agency Zoom is a huge benefit for farmers agents, it's really built for the independent side.
got you. Okay. How did you manage to have so many farmers insurance agents working with you guys?
The farmers insurance agent. So I just feel like people know who I am, and so they kinda gravitate to wanting to do what we did with farmers, and so we're able to replicate exactly what we did for them.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Did I hear you mention that you help recruiting side as well?
Yeah, so we do have a recruiting pipeline to walk through that process. Pipelines, I do want to say that are all customizable. So, for instance, when we upload something, there are some pieces where I'll give pushback to clients if they're trying to change something that I know we have split tested to the end and this that works, like do not change it. But when it comes to things like your recruiting pipeline, we can customize it to their specific recruiting process because it may be different than what we did as an agent or as an agency.
What was your recruiting process for fun?
Our recruiting process was for our office manager would schedule a phone interview with the prospect. If they passed the phone interview side, then they would move into a meeting with our leadership team in person or virtual if they were remote. And once they go through that interview process with the leadership team, we use what's called a Birkman personality assessment. This Birkman personality assessment will tell you literally how you tick
Right.
down it's tick how you tick. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, told me things that I didn't even recognize about myself. And now that I have read through it and understand it, I'm like, yep, that's right. It'll tell you if you're hiring someone for the right position. So I wish I would have used it a lot earlier in my career because I would have been able to refrain from putting people where they didn't belong, where they wouldn't be happy. Right. And so when I started putting people in places where they belonged and where they were going to thrive, such as a sales versus service position, like I was going to have a stronger retention of our staff, right? And so that Berkman personality assessment was a huge piece because also it'll tell you how well they handle directness. And I'm a really direct person. And so if someone had a low score for that, it just wasn't going to work because they weren't going to be able to work with me and be happy. Or if they had a high emotional score. I'm very low emotion. So I can't handle people that are emotional crying in my office. Like there's get out. And so I really liked that piece. And then if they got past the Birkman personality assessment, then they would meet with me and my husband as kind of a final, like, let's shake hands, you're hired kind of deal. So we let our leadership team really manage that process and get them through. If the Birkman passed, then they would meet with us.
Gotcha. Do you encourage that process to your clients?
Yes. Yeah. Many of our clients, especially on our executive advisory program, they're also working with our business coach, and he has some sort of deal with the Berkman personality assessments, and he does a full review with the staff member that's being hired of their personality traits and with the owner of the agency, so that he
Wow.
can navigate and see whether they're going to be a good fit for the organization.
What's it called? One more time?
Birkman, Birkin. No, sorry, BIR, let me look it up. Birkman. Birkman.
Okay,
I can
got
see the link if you're interested in them because normally they're $600 per Birkman personality assessment, but I have a link to get them for 250.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I used to have, a leadership, podcast, and they talked a lot about this. Not to get, like, too psychology and philosophy on this, but this really helps with knowing yourself, right? If you
Yeah.
truly know yourself to your core, you can plug into a role where you absolutely will thrive in. The challenge is not a lot of us truly know ourselves to our core. I think we get caught up in the day to day of like the grind of not allowing ourselves to like think deeply or like feel the deep emotions. That's kind of how you get to yourself. Again, get all philosophy and
Yeah.
psychology stuff.
No, I
I
think
will.
it's so interesting. Like it really is. And if you when you know it about your team members too, like you can find what motivates them, right? So like some of them will chase money. Some of them really want the team to win rather than themselves to win. And so being able to put together promotions and stuff around teams to go against each other or so on and so forth. Like we had a mix, right? Our service team were typically people that wanted the team to win. And then our salespeople were after wanting to make money.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. They should wanna make money, they're in sales.
But we had 2 separate teams in our agency where we did, like, a goalball machine. It was a poster where we, like, cut out, like, a big gumball machine, right? And what we did is, it was for life insurance policies. So, there was blue team and red team. When they would sell a life policy, they get to go put a gumball on the gumball machine with their name, the premium, and the amount sold. And what we did was at the end of the year, we'd take them to Dave and Buster's in a limo, whichever team won, and like go have fun. Something silly, something fun that they were competing for all year. So that sort of thing I think is encouraging.
No, it is, and I'm not sure sports background or if your husband does, but when you are competing at the top, money will definitely, make you do things that you probably didn't think that you could do. But competition, more importantly, saying that I beat you or saying that I wanted something will probably push you further than money, than the actual dollar. To
Yeah.
a certain extent, right? Once like your needs are met, it's like, okay, how can I be the best at this thing? Even though like the thing is silly, the thing is so dumb, but it's like I'm still gonna win at this thing. You know what I mean? At least that's how I am.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
My thing was trophies. Like I would lose money to get the trophy.
Exactly,
I would do whatever it took to get the trophy.
for sure. When it came to selling the agency, because I'm sure a lot of people out there also have that dream, what was the process that you went through? Did an investor approach the business, or did you guys seek to
It
sell?
was another agent that purchased our outside book of business, and, I just put a word out that I was selling and wanted to sell. That process went really smoothly because I had a cash buyer. For a typical sale, though, our purchase I've purchased 5 books of business in my career, so I'm very familiar with the process of acquisitions. Now, I think the hardest part nowadays for captive insurance companies is finding someone that will finance it, right? So some of the companies that I would recommend for like a farmer's agent would be I think Farmers Federal Credit Union and then also Northwestern Preferred. And those are both good options for that. Now on the independent side, there's a company called Wintrust that I would recommend. Wintrust has been I've worked with them in the past and they have been nothing but good to me and really easy to work with. Now, on when you're actually going through that acquisition with the prospective buyer or client or whatever, I think it's not client. I guess am I talking about buying or selling right now? Because if selling, my sell was so easy it was just like, okay, I know this guy. Like, I know he's a great agent. He's going to take great care of my policies. And it went through super smoothly. But on the
Gotcha.
acquisition side, there are, if you're like buying a book of business, I feel like there's, from a protection standpoint, there's so many things that you need to pay attention to. There's just like buying a home, there is a time to buy and there's a time to not buy. It's a
Mm,
market, fluctuates, right? On the captive side right now, a lot of the captive agents or captive companies, the way that they're structuring things is they're making their bonus programs where the small agencies can't survive. If you're not hitting your bonuses, you're not going to be able to survive as an agent. And they're making the metrics to where it's really difficult for them to hit. And
mm,
so, what that says to these larger agencies is you're going to be able to go buy these smaller agents out really cheap, and you can just offer them a little bit more than their contract value to get them out of here as the carrier wants, right? And then on the independent side, though, it's a bit more competitive because on the captive side, you're doing a 2 times multiplier, up to a 2 times multiplier. And on the independent side, it can go 6, 7, 8 times. But being able to know how to negotiate that rate based off of how the market is performing, I feel like is really important. And a lot of people just don't know what they don't know, right? And so they don't know these multipliers and they're like, I don't know what to offer. I don't know what to do or, how to work through that. And I only learned what I know from absorbing from everyone else around me and asking questions.
right, right. Would you say that buying a book of business is it's like an investment, right? Because it essentially adds to your monthly reoccurring revenue. It adds to your EBITDA if you are looking to sell. Gotcha. What was the biggest one that you bought, out of curiosity?
5 point,
5.4 mil. And how did that work? Did you finance that or did you pay for it in?
I financed it.
Oh, okay, 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 for sure.
Yeah, that
How
was
would that
my
how would that work? I mean, would it like is it like financing anything else, like a house or
I mean, they ask for a lot. They're gonna ask for basically everything that you would go to buy a house, but then they're gonna ask for all of your business, pro formas, your folio statements, like your income statement, so on and so forth. Maybe depending on the size of the loan, they're gonna ask for a business plan, what you're gonna do with this, so on and so forth.
gotcha, okay, cool. Alright, back to insurance. So, when it comes to selling P&C insurance, would you say that you have a dialed-in sales process, or would you say that let me just ask that question. Can you describe your sales process when you were an insurance agent selling P&C?
Yeah. So when you're saying the sales process, do you mean what we were using on the automation side or like scripts?
Yeah, I would say scripts, yeah.
Okay.
That was the question, but you can talk about the other one as well.
Yeah. So what we did as an insurance agency for our sales process when it came to scripts is I would go and again absorb from those around me. I would go to these conferences or join in on these. Have you ever heard of Insurance Sales Lab, like Vlad Churchenko or
Wait,
Craig
what's the name?
Vlad Churchenko?
I think I've seen him on, like, Instagram. I
Yeah,
think I
yeah, so he has a great sales, process built out, and so does Craig Wiggins Coaching. We've used both of them in the past, and what I did was from their scripts, I just picked and pulled things that fit our agency and then, like, altered the wording and so on and so forth. I like psychology behind certain words, like, with Vlad's scripts, he asks the clients or the prospects, "How much are you currently being charged for your insurance?" Instead of saying, "How much are you paying?" or whatever, like, "How much are you being charged?" I feel like it changes the script a bit, right? And then, like
It does. Sorry, it does because I said the same thing back when I was selling solar, like, "How much is the utility company charging you right now?" Yeah. I
yeah,
love it. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, let's go for it.
it does make a difference, and so just using the little words and stuff we picked and pulled and kinda put everything together for our team. One thing that we did was we used a lot of assumptive sales language. So we're not asking at the end, like, "Do you wanna move forward?" It's like, "Okay, what's your routing and account number?" And so putting
No, yeah,
things to play where you're not, giving them an option, right? "This is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna move forward right now."
you're right. No, go for it, go for it.
It's harder for them to say no, and so converts more.
It is, and people from my experience in sales, and I'm sure you know, you and your husband have a tremendous amount of experience in this, but people say one thing like, "Yes, I want it. Yes, I want it," and then whenever it comes down to, like, actually purchasing, they're a little hesitant, right? So we have to take, like, a leadership approach and just kinda walk them through the process, like, hold their hand and kind of take them through that process. Because if you ask somebody, "Do you want this?" They have to think, "Do I want this? Now I have to say yes," opposed to saying, "Okay, what is your bank account?" Or your routing, like, "Okay, let me just get that for you." But that only works if they view you as the authority figure in the conversation. You know what I mean?
That's why you have to have those sales reps. We call them the gorillas, the people that go out and get the meat and slam it on the table. Like, I want those people in my agency. I don't want people that are like scared to step on others' toes, right? You want those hungry people. Now, I will say that my personality type does not work well with the people that I need in the agency for that, right?
Oh, really?
And so you kind of have to like my business coach would just say, like, Lindsay, you're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable around those types of personalities because those are who you need on your team. And so I would have to like distance myself and let my leadership team be the ones to interact with that type of personality and butt heads with anybody.
Would you say you're that type of person?
No. I do have a really high sales score. I really do enjoy selling, but I have a really high social service score on that Birkman personality assessment. That's my highest score, which is like helping, teaching, volunteering,
Irritating.
counsel. And so I oftentimes people that are those gorillas may have a low social service score and a high sales score, and they're just going out there. They don't care if they hurt your feelings. They're just gonna go and sell, right? And I really care. So, like, I like, really care, and so that's
No,
hard.
I laugh because 'cause I'm the same way, and it's so annoying. Our damn feelings, man. Like, why do they get in the way? You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. How is your husband? Is he similar to you, or is he a gorilla
We're
more like
completely opposite. I think that's the only reason why we work well together. And people ask me all the time, like, how do y'all work together in the same office all day long? Like, don't y'all want to kill each other? And I'm like, honestly, I prefer it that way. I can't imagine him having another job where I didn't get to see him all day. And so I don't say that to be nice either. Like, I genuinely like, I think we just mesh really well in that regard. Now, his Berkman actually said that he doesn't belong in what was it, Brandon? You don't belong anywhere in any organization. He
my god.
belongs outdoors working alone in the woods, like doing like as a game warden or something like that. Like he does not belong in an office atmosphere.
It's
So it's kind of like funny that like this is what he's doing. But yeah, he should have joined the military or something a long time ago. I
yeah.
probably ruined that for him. But
Does do you guys ever hike? Does he hike alone or, like, do things out there alone or anything?
no, no, he likes to
Okay.
fish and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm very much a AC girly. I like being inside, like air conditioned.
Yeah, right, right, right. I'm glamping for sure. I'm not sleeping out there in the sleeping bag. I'm from
Yeah,
California, so, that's
yeah, we're
California.
actually leaving to go camping tomorrow, and we have like a 43-foot like nice camper because you will not catch me in a tent. I'll tell you.
Exactly.
If the AC goes out, we're coming home.
For sure, for sure. No, I smiled and laughed when he said, like, you couldn't imagine a world where you don't work with your husband. I have that desire or fantasy, one might say, and I don't know if it's possible. I'm sure it is, but I think the only way it would work, like you said, is if you guys were opposites. If you guys are way too similar, working 24/7, you probably would wanna kill each other, right?
Yes, exactly. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work at all. He's good at things that I'm not good at and vice versa. He does a lot of our behind the scenes stuff with like the pipeline creation and building and implementing and he doesn't do a whole lot of client facing communication. That's
Okay.
where I come in and do all of the training or sales and so on and so forth, especially at the beginning. Now our team has taken over that and I'm doing more things like this, just trying to put our name out there and helping agents to find us so that we can help them to scale.
For sure. I think on our initial phone call, you guys have a coaching program on top of the systems and processes
Yeah,
company. I don't know the best way to describe it. I'm so sorry.
program long term.
Okay.
So what we find is our regular program, personal line sales and service side, it's a 4-month contract. So we work with the agents where we have 8 scheduled 1-hour trainings over the first 8 weeks, and then the contract period is for any additional training, troubleshooting, or customization. Beyond that, what we're finding is that, people are human. They're gonna stop using what they learned. They're gonna try to adapt it to their own liking. They're gonna try to move and do things differently. What we've built works and we know it works, right? And so we wanted to make sure that have these coaching programs long term to ensure the success of the agencies, because at the end of the day our name's tied to it, right? So just because they stop using something or they're not using it correctly, I don't want people to say that what they're doing or what we built didn't work, right? It's just, no, you're not using it right.
I do wish we had more time. Lindsay Bolton, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us.